Welcome to Citizen Extra. Those are live pictures from Kisumu County, where our reporter on the ground, Laura Otieno, has been forced to go into hiding, even as protests expected around the country today. Nevertheless, she has been told by the protesters that she should not cover their protest. And so at this moment, she has had to quickly move to another area, hide herself there, because she's been told that her and the crew there are not welcome on the streets of Kisumu City. So you will bear with us. We're not able to bring you the best pictures, but that is the situation for now, even as we strive to give you the best updates regarding the call by NASA leader Raila Odinga for demos on Monday and Friday. Today being Monday, of course, we are monitoring the situation around the country to tell you exactly what is happening on the streets of major towns, whether Kenyans have heeded the call by NASA leader Raila Odinga. We are also live from different locations. We are live from Anniversary Towers, where Hassan Mugambi is on standby just to tell us the latest. They are also monitoring the situation on the streets of Nairobi. We are live from Eldoret, Uasin Gishu County, where John Wanyama will shortly be speaking with the Vice Chancellor of Moi University. And of course, we are live from Kisumu as well. Other locations which I will also be bringing you updates from in the course of this broadcast. And just before that, however, it's a few minutes past 9 a.m. on Monday, the 2nd day of October 2017. Good morning and welcome to Citizen Extra. My name is Wahiga Mwaura. Now, on this first Monday of the new month, we are keenly watching the political activities in major towns across the country after the NASA coalition called for countrywide protests against Jubilee proposed electoral amendments and to also push for reforms at the IEBC. As I mentioned earlier, we're live from the streets of Nairobi, Kisumu, Mombasa, Uasin Gishu, and Nyeri County, just to name a few, and we will give you fresh updates periodically. In some of the other events that we are monitoring for you today, IEBC is set to meet diplomatic missions led by the United States this morning. This comes even as envoys threaten travel bans against politicians who sow anarchy or impede preparations for the October 26 repeat elections. We expect a press briefing after that meeting, possibly at 12 noon. Meanwhile, it's a busy day for Education and Acting Interior Secretary, Security CS Fred Matiang'i, as he gives a keynote speech to national administration officers at the Kenya School of Government before making his way to the Kenya Institute of Curriculum Development to meet security and education officials as they plan how to secure the upcoming national examinations. We'll give you updates on that as well. And finally, nearly 2 months, believe it or not, after the August 8th polls, how is the economy reacting to these interesting political times? What is the current state of the retail sector, rental market, and cost of living, just to name a few? Find out in the course of this broadcast. Let's immediately take you to different locations around this country. I believe we start in Kisumu County, where Laura Otieno, can she now give us an update? Laura, if you can hear us, just can you let us know what the situation is?
Hey.
Yes, thank you very much, Wahiga Mwaura. A very good morning to you, though it's not a very bright morning here in Kisumu County. And in line with what NASA Principal Raila Odinga had said, that there will be demonstrations staged all across the country, basically to call for the ousting of top IEBC officials, and among other the electoral amendment bill that is being pushed forth by the Jubilee side. And now, indeed, there are supposed to be demonstrations here, or rather, demonstrations have already started here in Kisumu. We were supposed to speak to a section of the leaders, including the woman representative of this county, Madam Bruce Abuyu, who informed us she'll be with other legislators at some place in Kondele. But on our way there, the roads are impassable right now. The youth have already started to demonstrate, and we've actually been forced to go into hiding because the ground is very hostile. They've already lit a bonfire somewhere around the Kondele roundabout, and therefore the roads are very impassable. Vehicles are being moved, and right now there's a lot of action. Some cat and mouse games being played by the youth and the police. Tear gas canisters have already been launched, about 4 of them, and where we are, it's actually not a very friendly place. As you can see, it's dark and a little dingy, but some people who are a little friendly accommodated us to basically just hide from the wrath of the angry youth. But police are outside there. They're running around with the youth. Of course, as soon as we can, we're bringing you the situation that is going on the ground here. But what we know is that in town the situation is calm. It's only in Kondele where the has already started. The youth have lit bonfires. They are pelting vehicles with stones, Nobody's allowed to access the Kondele roundabout. That's the situation right now. Here in this country, but of course, we'll be trying to get you pictures as soon as we can, and our eyes are on the ground to be updating you with the latest on this place.
Okay, Laura, thank you so much. Many questions, but I want you to get to a safer location. So let me release you for now, just so that you can move with the crew to a safer location, and then hopefully you can give us more updates then. But of course, Laura Otieno there reporting from Kisumu County, letting us know that the situation around Kondele, a lot of activities happening there, and of course the crew feeling that they were not very safe, decided to move to safer grounds, and that's why you've seen that update is not quite as expected. You couldn't quite see her because she had to remain hidden, but we will go back to her as soon as she gets to safer ground. Let's now go to Anniversary Towers in the Central Business District, Nairobi, where Hassan Mugambi is on standby. Of course, we know the IEBC is supposed to be meeting foreign envoys at a different location, the Bomas of Kenya. But Hassan Mugambi, what can you tell us from Anniversary Towers? And of course, is there any activity in the CBD in regards to the call by NASA leader Raila Odinga for countrywide demos?
Well, thank you very much, Wahiga. It is yet to be, to be established whether indeed the call will be heeded here in Nairobi today. But then again, if at all the situation here currently is as is anything to go by, because the traffic flow along University where the Anniversary Towers is quite normal for a normal Monday morning here in Nairobi. But then again, there are also a contingent of police officers just forming a ring around the sitting of the IEBC, as this will be the heartbeat of the demonstrations that have been called by NASA leaders to protest against these 11 members of the IEBC Secretariat they want hosted before the repeat election is conducted. But then again, also there's an interesting twist to the demonstrations here today, because yesterday we were in Dandora where the Jubilee Party was holding rallies, and the Nairobi Governor Mike Sonko actually told the youth, called upon the youth to present themselves to Nairobi City so that they can hold demonstrations, peaceful, so to speak, as he called them, to hold those demonstrations in defense of the IEBC officials who are actually on the chopping board of the NASA coalition in as far as the demonstrations are concerned. So we are expecting both teams to be here. Both Jubilee and NASA supporters will be coming here to demonstrate and show their agitation in as far as their different causes are concerned. But then again, we also are expecting the members of the National Police Service to stay put in as far as quelling any form of violence is concerned. They have made it clear, and they have always maintained that they will not accept any form of disturbance of peace. And as you can see right behind me, armed to the teeth are the anti-riot contingent of the National Police Service, members of the Administration Police, members of the Forestry, the Kenya Prison, as well as the regular police. They are all here just to ensure that nothing is going to get out of hand. As you can see, also the University Way here quite empty currently. Motorists just keeping off this particular stretch of the road because of obvious reasons, because they actually don't really need to get their vehicles pelted with stones by the angry demonstrators in this particular place. And then we also see the Uhuru Highway roundabout. They are just quite busy in as far as the traffic flow is concerned. So we are waiting to see that. Whether or not the meeting with foreign envoys will be conducted here at the IEBC sitting is something else, is a whole different ball game altogether. We're expecting that maybe they just could be conducting it there, and anytime from now we also expect the demonstrators, if at all they are going to heed the calls by their different political leaders, we're expecting to see them here, and we're also expecting to see members of the National Police Service to, increase their numbers. As that is exactly what happened last week when the similar demonstration was being staged here in early hours around 9, as we are here around 9:25. There were quite a few, but then again, as the time went ahead, the members of the National Police Service were very, very many. Also to monitor the police conduct in this particular demonstration will be officers of the National, the IPOA, the Independent Policing Oversight Authority. They also hinted to the fact that they will be sending their officers. Also, the Kenya National Commission on Human Rights will be sending their officers just to be here and see how the whole exercise is being conducted. Remember, the National Police Service has come under sharp criticism from different observers to having used excessive force as far as dealing with demonstrators is concerned, especially last week when the University of Nairobi students were protesting to show their solidarity with Embakasi East Member of Parliament Babu Owino, who was being arraigned there. They actually came out to protest, and it is alleged that the members of the National Police Service actually used excessive force in dispersing them and followed them through to their hostels and meted brutality on them. That is something also these independent bodies will be coming here to look at Wahiga.
Well, thank you so much, Hassan Mugambi, for that update. I'm pretty sure we'll be coming back to you a bit later on as soon as you have any updates for us. Reporting there just outside Anniversary Towers, of course, within the CBD, Nairobi County. Let's now go over to Uasin Gishu, Eldred. But before we go to Uasin Gishu, of course, we're a live environment, the situation constantly changing. Can we go back now to Kisumu County, where our crew is trying to get you some pictures of what is happening on the streets right now? And those are the images that you are seeing on your screen. As we mentioned earlier, they are finding it difficult to get those images. The protesters not happy with their presence there. In fact, earlier on, we were being told that they had to go into hiding just a bit. Is that a bit of smoke from tear gas? Okay, yes, that's tires burning rather. Some roads have been blocked by the protesters. So this, I believe, should be quite close to Kondele, if it's not Kondele. And so what our crew has attempted to do is get outside and give us those pictures. But I must warn you, this feed could cut any minute now. As soon as they sense that they're in any danger, they will have to quickly move away from this location. And so kindly bear with us if our pictures are not very stable or clear. This is the best that the crew can do under those circumstances. This being the first day of protest as called for by the NASA Brigade, asking for protests to happen on Mondays and Fridays. And so those are live images now from Kisumu County. Let's now go over to Eldoret, Uasin Gishu County, where John Wanyama is on standby. As you know, the police service has been under fire from members of the public after images last week showing police brutality incidents of clashes between police and University of Nairobi students. John Wanyama now is with the Moi University Vice Chancellor just to give us his take on what happened last week. Wanyama, kindly bring us the latest now.
A very good morning to you, Wahiga Maura, and as you've said clearly, I'm at Moi University main campus here in Keses, and I would like to talk to the Vice Chancellor here, Professor Airo, to tell us maybe a few things about the university and what he feels about academics in this country. And as you know, Maura, Moi University has been rated as the best university, #1 in Kenya and number 17 in Africa. So this is a university that is on a move, and they are all celebrating this. Maybe, Maura, if I can talk to the Vice Chancellor, Professor Airo. Prof, if you can come closer here. First, if you can just, on a light note, if you can just comment about the acts of police who did whatever they did in the University of Nairobi last week. Do you think this is proper as academician?
I think that those are security matters, but as universities, we are also struggling to work on our value systems for our students, and so that we can learn dialogue and communication. That's our approach at Moi University. Yeah.
Maybe, Prof, we have had so many instances here in the university about radicalization, and only maybe this year we have also 2 students joining Al-Shabaab also to be radicalized. What is the state of university so far on this matter?
I think MOI has taken deliberate measures to have a physical count of their students, of our students, and we are also working on the value system. This is something that was completely lost when I came into Moi University. So for us, aspects of spirituality right across the different faiths in the university, we meet all the groups, the Christians, the SDAs, the Catholics, the Muslims, trying to nurture a sense of hope in our students so that they are not easily enticed by things like radicalization and Al-Shabaab and the rest. So if you asked me, that trend has reversed tremendously in Moi, and every student now believes in wanting to do what brought them to the university, and a sense of belonging, which is the most important thing here.
Maybe, Prof, we understand that Moi University is also really suffering from finance. What is the state of finance from the government? Because we understand you are also on your knees, maybe. What's the state here?
We are trying to, first of all, I would like to thank the government because it has come in under the recovery strategy paper. They are helping us add lecture halls. They're helping us improve our boarding facilities. But on our part, we are improving the internal efficiencies of management of our resources. We are trying to up revenue collection, and then the expenditure is controlled so that we only deal with priority areas. Yeah. But the sector, I think the university sector as a whole is suffering from very constrained resources, which is a manifestation of our economy, the performance of the economy. I'm sure our national government is struggling to meet the public demands across all the sectors. So on our part, we are also getting into income generating. We have Rivertex Factory. We have the digital literacy program. We are supplying computers to 26 counties. We are revamping our farms in Moi University so that we can generate revenue on our own. But more importantly, enhance accountability of our systems, and that's what we're doing here.
What made maybe this organization that rated you to be #1 as a university in Africa, and number 17 in Africa, and #1 in this country? And a long way we have been knowing that the University of Nairobi have been on the list as #1. What is this that you've changed that is putting this university on the map?
I think the most important thing in terms of ranking is visibility of the university. So the fact that we are an African center of excellence in phytochemicals, textiles, and renewable energy, funding from Government of Kenya and World Bank, the research that is going on in the College of Health Sciences, AMPATH, areas of mitigation of HIV and AIDS, our School of Engineering, our School of Agriculture, the collaborations we have with major universities in the world, John Hopkins with School of Public Health, and those publications coming from the lecturers is making a difference, and also the number of hits our students are making online also measures our productivity levels in terms of engagement with knowledge. This has been possible because we have expanded the bandwidth at the university, and now students are more encouraged to invest in a laptop or go to the library to sit in front of a PC than trying to use books. So I think in totality, that's it. Nairobi University continues to be our mother university in this country, but a good son also wants to lift, to challenge positively. So if they are #1, we want to be #2, but if you are #1, they'll be #2. And we should not allow younger universities to come up there, because we are setting the agenda for research and teaching for the country.
Maybe, Professor, my last question to you. We understand that you won the contract for winning the computer laptop for kids. Maybe how far have you gone, and have you started to process these computers to our class 1 pupils?
Yes, it's amazing. We have been able to supply laptops to 26 counties, about 60,000 pieces. We have set up a factory that produces 1,000 pieces, tablets, every day. We have just finished the first phase. We are hoping that with political stability we shall continue. And we believe in the digitalization of the curriculum in this country. And as a university, together with Jomo Kenyatta, we have been given that mandate by our national government. And I think Moi University has done very well. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Maura. That is Professor Ayiro, Vice Chancellor, Moi University. And you can clearly hear him. He has said that they are really struggling, especially financially. When he came in, the university was on its knees. They didn't have money, but at least they are trying to do whatever they can to ensure that they have this money. Maura, this university, as we can talk, and entire for us in Gishu County, it's very cool. There's nothing maybe like what we were witnessing in Kisumu for demonstrations. More university students and the Wasingishu residents are calm and they are going on with their businesses. And something also maybe we can look at is that Moi University as a university, their students are in class. Those who came from Garissa University after what happened in Garissa University, as you can remember, they have settled down. Those who had injuries have also maybe healed, and they are going on with their education well, and nothing much alarming from this university, apart from two students who just joined Al-Shabaab or radicalization, who went away just maybe a few months ago as per County Commissioner. From this side, Maura, we are still following up on these stories and we will keep on informing you when and as it falls from Wasingishu County. Back to the studio, Maura.
Well, thank you so much, John Wanyama, touching on various issues affecting Moi University, main campus, KSS, and of course universities around the country as well. Live report there, John Wanyama from Wasingishu County. Let's now go over to Nyeri County, where a section live again. We're not going to Nyeri yet. Let's go to Kisumu. Those are images you're seeing on your screen now. Protests clearly underway, bright and early today, and as you can see, police officers are attempting to clear the roads and disperse the protesters. The protesters in the distance there, they number their hundreds, and members of the press, of course, attempting to get some pictures. Police have already lobbed tear gas, and I can just see in the distance some of the protesters are throwing stones at the police officers, and the police are responding with tear gas. This is Kondele section or Kondele area in Kisumu City, Kisumu County. These are live images now. Our crew attempting to stabilize and get you some clean shots, but in that sort of environment they keep having to move back so that they also do not get in the way of the confrontation between protesters and the police service there in Kisumu County. So of course we apologize for some of these shaky shots. Bear in mind our crew are really trying to get you the best pictures there, while at the same time staying safe. We'll be going back to Kisumu County shortly. Let's now cross over to Nyeri County, where a section of Nyeri leaders, including 3 members of parliament and the Nyeri governor, have called for a withdrawal of a petition against Lady Justice Njoki Ndongo, saying that they will push Nyeri Town Member of Parliament, that is Honorable Gonjiri Wambugu, to see the petition against Chief Justice David Maraga through. Let's now join Martin Munene, who is ready to talk to us. He has next to him Tetu legislator Gishohi Mwangi, just to tell us a bit about that push by Nyeri members of parliament. Martin, what can you tell us about their plan this morning, that is Nyeri members of parliament?
All right, indeed, like you said, Wahiga Maura, you're getting us live from Nyeri County, and where I'm standing is Nyeri Town, and with me is the Tetu legislator Gishohi Mwangi, who is one of those members of parliament who've looked at this petition, and they're saying that the Njoki petition should be withdrawn immediately, and they're saying that a failure to do that, they're going to be talking to their colleague to see his petition against Maraga through. And they're saying that they feel on the Nyeri ground, or the people of Nyeri, feel that Njoki Ndongo did her job and she should not be criticized or condemned or even victimized for what she did. And so, you know, just Wakili, kindly join me here and help us understand, as a Nyeri leader, and you being one of those leaders who spoke yesterday, what are you saying and why are you saying it? Kindly, and please look at the camera, please.
Yeah, basically what we are saying is that filing of that petition by Apollo Boya, who is a lawyer, we are saying that it's a scandalous petition. I've personally looked at that petition, and we are basically also saying that it's an afterthought, because we had an MP for Nyeri Town, Abogo Gojiri. He filed a petition petitioning the Judicial Service Commission to remove some judges because of gross misconduct, and we all joined hands, and even the president, and say that, can you share that petition? Let's focus on the 26th of this month to have a free, fair, credible and transparent election. And basically, as we see, the petition has been withheld. Wabugu has not prosecuted that petition. So we are asking, why are they filing that petition now? Why do they want to have Njoki Ndongo, judge of the Supreme Court, removed from the bench? And basically what we are saying is that we know that CORD or NASA coalition are not ready for this election, and they are just trying all ways and means to ensure that 26th of this month there is not going to be any election. But what we are saying is that IEBC is an independent body, and as they allege to uphold the rule of the law, let them respect independent institutions, let them leave the judges to carry out their work. Because as you looked at that petition, or the dissenting opinion by Honorable Njoki Ndongo, it was a lengthy one, it was a well-reasoned one, and she had a right to dissent. So why are they not filing one against JB Ojwang? We are saying that this should be removed forthwith, it should be withdrawn. Otherwise, we are going to ask our colleague Wabogo Gojiri to reinstate his petition, and it proceeds, and all those judges being investigated. But we don't want to reach to that point. So that's why we are asking Apollo Boya to withdraw that petition with immediate effect, if at all they want free, fair and credible elections as they allege.
Alright, Maheshima, and maybe on something slightly different. The demonstrations going on, and the business community has said that they're going to come out and confront NASA supporters. What is your take on that?
What I will say is that Chapter 4 of the Constitution clearly spells out the rights. It's under the Bill of Rights, and there is rights to freedom. Of course, there is rights to picketing. That's their right under the Constitution. But then there are limitations to those rights. The rights should not extend to incitement to violence. And basically what the Nairobi business community are saying is that they have a right to protect their property. They have a right also to picket, but they are not doing that. You know, the economy of this country has gone down, and if we start having demonstrations from now henceforth, then we are destroying our Kenyan economy. And personally, I say that they have a right to protect their property. Of course, I know we have the security agencies, but they are not. I heard what they say. They didn't say that they are going to violence. They say that they are also going to protect their property. So to me, I support it.
Alright, that is the Tetu Member of Parliament expressing his opinion and his views, and what he says are the views not only his own but of the Nyeri leaders and the Nyeri people. Back to you in studio, Wahiga Maura in Nyeri County. I am Martin Munene.
Well, thank you so much, Martin Monele, for that update, reporting live from Nyeri Town, Nyeri County. As we mentioned earlier, we are monitoring Kisumu County, Kisumu City, Kondele area to be more specific. As soon as we have any clear images from there, we'll be heading back there shortly. But for now, let me introduce my guest in studio. I'm glad to have Honorable Dan Manzo, Member of Parliament Makueni. Welcome to the program. Joim Divo, lawyer and political analyst, welcome to the program as well. Michael Agwanda, political analyst, welcome to the program.
Thank you very much.
And Honorable Samson Cheragay, Senator, Nandi County, welcome to the program as well. Before I engage you, even as we look at the images that we, of course, each of you had a chance to look at them earlier, our political leaders gave their thoughts on the state of the nation over the weekend. NASA leader Raila Odinga, Nairobi Governor Mike Mbuvi Sonko. Can we just listen briefly to what they had to say about the current political dispensation over the weekend?
Tarehe 2 Jumatatu taonana Wakenya mundu kumundu. Mko tayari? Kenyans have got the right to resist anybody who wants to change the constitution unconstitutionally. Even parliament cannot be allowed to change the constitution unconstitutionally. Ndio sababu tumesema yale sheria ambayo ameleta kwa bunge ya kubadilisha sheria ya kupiga kura na katiba, Wakenya watakataa.
Wafuasi wote wa Sonko, wafuasi wote wa Gakuya, wafuasi wote wa bunge wote wa Jubilee, hata sisi tunajua kufanya maandamano ya amani. Tutachunga mali ya wananchi wa Nairobi. Tumeelewana? Haja yao ni kupasua Kenya. Sisi haja yetu ni amani.
Demos, the big talking point today. Let me start with you, Honorable Manzo. You've had a chance to listen to those two statements. NASA leader Raila Odinga, Nairobi Governor Mike Mbuvi Sonko. Your take?
Yes, first of all, the right to protect property is enshrined in the Constitution. The right for also protection of freedoms of expression is also there. So we have to allow people to express themselves. You cannot stop it. It is within the Constitution. You have to change the Constitution to stop people from expressing their right of expression or demonstrations. Recently you saw demonstrations against Chief Justice in town, and they were allowed to do their way. You know, play cards, some of them which were not very nice, but they were tolerated. And I noticed, because one time I used to be a pro bono lawyer for Mugiki. Most of those people who are in town were Mugiki.
When was that?
This is just before the 2002 election.
Okay.
They will be arrested a lot of times, you know, while people lobbied for change in Kenya. And I would defend them and get them freed. In fact, one time, Gonyo Wangekonyo was misunderstood, and I found him in Makandara law courts. And I volunteered to assist him to be released. You can imagine what he used to do at that roundabout in Karioko, and some people thought it was offensive. So we need to protect the new constitution which we have. We need to allow people to express themselves. I do agree that the demonstrations must be peaceful. There should be no destruction of property, and people never destroy any property unless provoked to do so.
Okay. It may be a bit late to ask this, but do you think NASA had any other options in terms of how to counter whether it's Jubilee's push for electoral changes in terms of the law, or whether to carry on with their push to reform IEBC? Do you think there are any other options apart from what we are seeing today?
Yeah, all options have been exploited and have been pursued, and it's only that there was no seriousness in it. If you know, like the attempt to bring new laws in Parliament, you know, they're in good faith, they're in bad faith. First of all, there is Election Offences Act amendment. You cannot apply it retrospectively. So what the DPP should be doing now is prosecuting those evidence has been presented against. And you know, the moment you are prosecuted, you have to step aside. He has not done so. We know why. We know there is conflict of interest. We know he is an interested party himself. And therefore, if he's not moving, we have the other option of private prosecution, which we are still moving on with. But Wananchi are the one asking to make peaceful demonstrations to express themselves. These are public officers. Even if it is an independent commission, it's supported by taxpayers, and the taxpayer has a right to voice out what the situation is.
Okay, Joim Divo, I can allow you to come in as well. A concern for many that, and what we could hear from our reporter Hassan Mugambi, is that they're expecting demonstrators from both sides, the Jubilee side, the NASA supporters as well. What sort of situation can we expect in the CBD today across the country, just from what we're seeing right now?
I do agree that the Constitution gives us the space
to organize demonstrations and to make a point if we have to make a point. However, what we are seeing in this country is not something that is homegrown from people, but it is the leaders who are calling the people out to come and demonstrate. And that for me...
The Honorable Manzo says it's the people who are telling the leaders they want to demonstrate.
No, we've had 2 leaders calling people come out and demonstrate. It's not the people who sat and said, you know what, these leaders are taking us for a ride, let's go out and demonstrate. For me, why that is a bit dangerous is because when the people now go out in the street, it's impossible to predict how this thing is going to go. Let me just contrast this with what is happening in Spain right now with the Catalonians. They are trying to, it's not legally binding, but they want to make their voice heard, and now you're finding the government is finding themselves trying to repress what happened to the people. What you saw was the firemen coming out to defend the people. The local Kanjo police coming against the national police, because this is a people-led movement. But when it is people who are calling out, like Mashimo is saying, some of those ones look like Mungiki because he knows them because he represented them and so he can identify them from footage on TV.
I was surprised he was willing to admit that on national TV. That's a story for another day.
That tells us now, for us who are observing, people are being called out, but there are other people who are there who are outlawed groups that are going to meet with regular people who are actually looking to make a point. Sometimes we need to, in this country, I think we need to give dialogue a chance. We need to give common sense a chance. Let people have the opportunity to be led because they have leaders. Let their leaders take the opportunity. The IEBC chair has called for the 2 principles. Don't send your generals. You come yourselves. Let us talk. I want to see them taking a bullet for us. For once, and taking that leadership and telling us, fellow Kenyans, we met with Chebukati and we actually have white smoke, this is what we are going to do. Because look at the country right now, it's like Kisumu is a lovely town, it had been rebuilt beautifully. Kondele Car Wash is a place that I know, a place I have friends, and when I'm looking at this I'm texting them and thinking, they're going to go back to 2007, 2008 where they had so many ghost buildings. It's not fair. Kenyans deserve better. We do.
Let me just refer, before I come to you, Michael, images on your screen. We're live from Kisumu City, Kondele area. In the distance, you can see they look like groups of youth there, part of the team of protesters that have come up or made their way to this particular section. Earlier on, we had seen images of them clashing with the police there, and we'd seen tear gas and so much for. In Mombasa, of course, we're bringing you now live images, Mangina Drive, where protesters are expected to do their demonstrations there. But for now, what we can see is just regular morning traffic on a Monday morning. So nothing much to report apart from normal activities in Mombasa City. Of course, the coastal city of Mombasa on this Monday morning. But, you know, should protesters then group together, this road is where they are expected to walk up and down or march up and down, you know, airing their political views, and our crew is there. They'll be giving us updates as soon as they have some. Michael, coming to you, we've seen a report in today's Daily Nation, I believe, stating that foreign envoys, who we know are meeting the IEBC right now, and who we expect them to, you know, address members of the press at about 12 noon, stating that should there be any leaders who stand in the way of the election in terms of their statements, etc., then they will issue travel bans against them, etc. And I want to get your take on that, bearing in mind these are scenes we've seen before, but many had hoped that Kenya had gotten to a point where we would not need such threats to force our leaders to sit down and dialogue.
Waira, it's quite unfortunate that this country, we often have to listen to the international community more than ourselves. We want the United States of America to speak before we could even agree amongst ourselves. We want the UNDP or United Nations or World Bank to say something before we even agree amongst ourselves. The question that I've always asked is, Honorable Raila Amolo Odinga was a Prime Minister of this country. Uhuru Kenyatta was his Deputy Prime Minister. And they sat together and agreed on so many bills, agreed on so many issues. In fact, they were sitting together almost every week to see, you know, on the running of this country. And what makes it now impossible possible for Uhuru as a president to meet Raila. I don't think Raila does not want to meet Uhuru, but I think it's the hardliners that are surrounding these two individuals that really don't want anything to go on in this country. I strongly believe that Uhuru cannot say that he is the president and therefore he cannot talk to anybody else. He leads a country and individuals who voted for him to be in that office, and those individuals are the people that he swore that he will protect, and that includes opposition. For that reason, I really want to see a day, just like Joy Midivu have said, where Raila and Uhuru will sit down on this stalemate and agree. They do not have to be threatened by the international community that we will stop you. But you know what? That is perhaps what will break this impasse, simply because these people, if there is anything that happens in this country, they're the first one to get the air ticket and fly abroad. Perhaps they need to come to the reality that this is their country, and if it bans, they will ban with it.
You're raising interesting points. I want Senator Cherargei and Honorable Manzo to talk a bit about that because they're insiders in both political sides. Let's talk about hardliners. That wasn't even part of my question, but it seems to be coming up, and I hope you're not one of the hardliners, Senator. Maybe, you know, so these hardliners who for now remain faceless and nameless, what is their contribution to the current political space? Because what our two analysts here, I can call them independent analysts, feel is that the reason why the president and NASA leader Raila Odinga have not met is because of these hardliners. Do you think there's any truth to that?
No, I don't think there is any truth to that, because what everybody is doing is trying to, and I like what NASA are saying. They are saying no reforms, no elections. And that is why there is no hardliners, because the parliament and as Jubilee, we are not apologetic for being majority. We are pushing those bills to reform the election process so that we can ensure this electoral process is protected with integrity, and therefore we agree with them when they say no reforms, no elections. And I think all these issues has been raised, and we want to agree because the issues that most of the people that I met is because the problem we have in these negotiations that chairman had the other day in Bomas of Kenya is because these individuals, they had what we call reducible minimums. They had conditions before going to negotiations, and when it reached there, now we are getting another they have now another condition that they are now adding another. We get even the number. They are now remove the bill. So the bills, that amendment bill that you want to push in parliament so that we can go to negotiations, they have reducible in minimums, and they keep increasing these conditions day in, day out. And yet they know
what are you calling them, the hardliners? Are they the ones who've taken an immovable position? And won't they also say that you now with your electoral amendment laws are doing the same thing?
We are not hardliners because as per the constitution, the role of parliament and senate, which my brother Dan sits in and why I sit in senate, our role is to legislate oversight, and we can amend the law. It doesn't take Raila Odinga or anybody else to hold hostage any independent institutions in deciding what the agenda or the business of the house will be. If we will go that, we lose independence as legislature. Why do they have a problem when they have majority? When they go well with the majority decision of the Supreme Court, what they have a problem with, we have majority in both the National Assembly and is the Senate. That is double speak.
Okay.
So we should agree that there is no hardliners in this process. The process is that we are following the directions of the Supreme Court. They said within 60 days the IEBC should hold its sections. They did not say the IEBC should be reconstituted first before doing these elections, and therefore we are following on the directions that there were so many issues that were raised by Supreme Court, and that is why we want to assist IEBC in fortifying and ensure the electoral process is protected and it is a process that is of integrity.
Okay, you'll allow me to interrupt you, Honorable Manzo. I'm coming to you shortly. Let's go back to Kisumu County where Laura Otieno is on standby. Just tell us the latest now. Laura, what is the situation right now? I can see you're in Kondele, I believe. What's happened so far in the first early parts of this morning? What can you tell us?
Thank you very much, Wahiga. And as indeed you can see, we are in Kondele, more specifically at the Kondele roundabout. Now, Kondele is considered one of the most vibrant areas here in Kisumu County, where Raila Odinga's word is taken very seriously. And behind me now, tear gas canisters are being launched once more. We have police are engaging the youth here in running battles, as I had told you earlier. But right now, at least the situation is a bit calm. Security has been beefed up to some extent, so the police are basically trying to keep the youth on one side of the road, and then they stay on this other side of the road. Wahiga. Now, what we understand is that we are able to speak to Rosa Buyu on phone, and also we had Kisumu Central Member of Parliament Fred Ouda, who was here shortly, but he tried to address the youth, but the situation was too volatile, so he fled off. They're telling us that they're in a meeting right now at an undisclosed location, but of course we'll be linking up with them later on to understand exactly what it is they're planning to do. Now, we're being told that in town the situation is calm. People in town are waiting for maybe that the crowd in Kondele will go to town, and of course then later on have a detailed program as to what they'll be doing today. But right now the situation is a little calm, better than what it was in the morning, but it's still some razzmatazz. The police and the youth are playing a back and forth game. Sometimes they come very close to us here, and then they're then thrown back. They're then cajoled back using tear gas. And now we are basically just trying to, people are running around here, Wahiga, so you can understand the situation is a little tense, but of course we're trying our best to be bringing you the latest. We have not spoken to any of the locals here yet, but we've spoken to the leaders. We expect to see the outcome of their meeting. They're in a meeting right now, as from what they're telling us. Of course, we'll be speaking to them to understand what is going on, but right now we're here in Kondele just trying to capture the action of what is going on between the police and the youth are carrying, at some point they were carrying a banner which read Chiloba must go, and of course that basically proves that they're out of the streets in solidarity with what NASA leader Raila Odinga had said, calling for the ousting of top officials in IEBC. But of course we're here basically to be bringing you the action from this place, Wahiga.
If at any minute you feel that the location you're in is not safe, feel free to move away. But if I can just ask you another quick one, I don't know if you've managed to go to Kisumu town where, of course, the CBD, are shops open, are people transacting, doing business, or have they decided because of the demos that they'll keep away?
Wahiga, we have not gone there ourselves, but the people that are around CBD are telling us that it's business as usual. They are actually going about their normal businesses, just waiting. But of course, they're on standby. We are being told that some shops are open, a good number are open, some are not open, of course, considering they're saying that they are sort of trying to reminisce what happened during the last demonstrations here around last week, where it was peaceful and we didn't see such kind of drama being involved. So some of the people are clinging on that hope that today's demonstration will be peaceful in town, that is. But in Kondele, some businesses were open, but then when the action started, they were on lockdown, and right now it's just a business at a standstill. People are some vehicles are being turned around, some are just parked. So in town the situation is calm. From what we are receiving, the information we're receiving from people in the CBD is that it's safe in the CBD, but here in Kondele is where the action is. And what we understand is normally usually during mass actions in times like this, the crowd comes from Kondele then moves into town, and right now they're here in Kondele, and you can see police are trying so much to contain the crowd just here around this area. So whether they'll get into town is a wait and see game, but of course we'll be keeping an eye on the action and be telling you what's going on.
Well, thank you so much, Laura Otieno, for that update, and please stay safe. Let's now cross over to Mombasa County, where Asha Bikidusa will now be giving us an update. She's on Mama Ngina Drive, I believe. Asha Bikidusa, kindly tell us the situation in Mombasa County, Mombasa City to be more specific, where you are. People operating their businesses as normal, and are any protesters gathering anywhere? What's the latest?
Very good morning to you, Wahiga, here in Mombasa. I'm coming to you live here in Mombasa, and I'm at famous iconic task, which is Moi Avenue, near Uhuru Garden, where the NASA protest is supposed to take place here. The demos are supposed to start here, and some of the key politicians from Mombasa County are expected to join this protest. Actually, the protest had been planned to start at 9 a.m. But right now people are gathering, the NASA supporters are gathering, and as you can see behind me, there is a lorry there where police officers, GSU officers here, are here to ensure that the demos are very peaceful. And as they have said that they expect the demos to be very peaceful, and we expect any time from now, as the supporters are gathering, they will be starting their protest here in this area, and they're saying that they will be going up to the IEBC offices, where it's almost near the State House, or where it's near the police headquarters, to file their petition there. And some of the politicians who are expected here, maybe the MP from Vita, Abu Samad, among other MCAs. I've seen some of the MCAs from Mombasa here. They've started gathering with their supporters, and the supporters are coming from Vita. Some of them are coming from as far as Likoni, some of them are coming as far as Changamwe, and I'll be keeping you updated as the events unfold. Back to you, Wahiga.
Thank you so much. Ashabi Kidusa there, reporting from Moi Avenue, I believe, not actually Mamangina Drive, and just letting us know what is happening there in regards to the anti-IEBC demos that are set to take place today in various parts of the country. We carry on with our discussion in studio, even as we continue monitoring the situation around the country. Mark Bichachi, political analyst, now joining us as well. Welcome to the program.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. I'll come to you shortly. Honorable Manzo is now going to give you a chance to respond to what he had to say, and also tell us about the position of hardliners, rather, and how much they affect the thinking and decision making of our President Uhuru Kenyatta and NASA leader Raila Odinga as well.
Yes, you know, only recently that we had amendment of election laws, and you know that the two parties and their leadership, you know, we chose a committee, a select committee, which went to Windsor Hotel and gave us, you know, gave us what we have now. Now, for it to be amended, it seems to be one-sided, and if you look at the amendments, they are really cannot really apply in the forthcoming elections. First of all, if it is Election Offences Act, you cannot use it retrospectively, and the rest of the amendments are mischievous, so that if not the Chief Justice, another judge can swear the president, and if not the chairperson of IBC, another commissioner can announce the results. You know, it's mischievous, and therefore, instead of the hardline stance be taken, if Right Honorable Raila Odinga is not able to meet President Uhuru for one reason or another, they have intermediaries. And
but those intermediaries seem to be the problem.
Yes, so right now the intermediaries are the problem. And that's why now, you know, it is clear that everybody says we obey the Supreme Court judgment. The Supreme Court judgment was very clear that there must be some changes, something must be done, because you cannot repeat these elections in the same way and you get the same results. All of us know that somebody somewhere was interfering, was hacking systems, and that person is still around, and nothing has been done to that person. We also know that particular individual was being assisted by one person associated with Safaricom and the like. And these people are there. There is no action being taken. What do you expect Kenyans to do? Kenyans are going to get frustrated. So I believe the hardline stance should stop. I know
on both sides.
On both sides, and I know the chairperson of this select committee of Jubilee, which is now purported to be conducting public hearings. They are well-known lawyer in this country, but you know how politics in Parliament work is political party whipping. If she begins to get reasonable or to say, look, this is not the way, you know, the next week people will be collecting signatures to kick out of Parliament. So we do not want a situation whereby people are hostages. You have to think freely, express yourself freely, so that we can build our country. We cannot build our country by threats. We cannot build our country by people who take a hard position that whatever happens, we can't leave power. You know, the power belongs to the people. If you have a country which is divided right in the middle, the biggest role of the president now will be to bring the country together. You can only bring the country together if we talk to each other. If we don't talk to each other, the people will talk to each other, and you can see it is already happening. You've heard that even the members of parliament in Kisumu could not address the people, could not control the situation.
For because you, as I told you, this is a people. For you, that's a sign that this is what a people.
It's a people-driven situation. I was in Makueni yesterday, and in many parts I went, the people in Makueni asked me, hey, we want to express ourselves. Can you give us direction? You know,
what did you do?
I did not have any direction as such. I told them, look, I'm making the necessary consultations, and but they said, whether you consult or you don't consult, we are going to take action.
Okay.
So a lot of Kenyans are disappointed, they are bitter, they are not happy, and a lot of Kenyans on the other side want to stay on board by force. The referee is the IBC. It has to be reformed, it has to be clear. We know the suspects.
Okay.
IBC.
I'll come back to you, and I know Honorable Cherargei really wants to respond. I'll come back to you. Mark, interesting political week that we find ourselves in. On one hand, anti-IEBC demos and you can see some of the pictures on the screen. On the other hand, foreign envoy is currently meeting the IEBC. We expect them to give us a statement later on, stating that if they see any politicians standing in the way of the upcoming polls, then they're ready to issue them with travel bans. And we were contemplating whether it has to get to that for our leaders to sit down and dialogue moving forward. What's your take on the current state of the nation?
You know, I find it hilarious for politicians to say on one hand that these politicians have said they'll stay in power, and the other hand, the other politicians are saying unless you remove the people we want removed, we won't go to an election. Both of these are very hardline stands. Now, what is the reality? The reality is that Kenya needs to wake up, and it needs to wake up very quickly. That number one, we need to understand as a nation that there is a country beyond our politicians. That's the first thing. That institutions are built where that Chiloba can be removed and kept in place. Institutions are built where a president can be changed and kept in place. So the nature of nature is that there is always natural attrition and therefore natural replacement. So it is not a big deal. What is actually the big deal is very simple. Kenyans have a moral disease. It's called bad manners. We've got very bad manners where we view our history only based on which faction you're in. So if you are in NASA, then the report from the Inspector General yesterday, his interview is horrible. If you are from Jubilee, it's nice. We need to get to a point where truth is one. And the truth of the matter, as a country, we are beginning to get to the point where we are full of nonsense. And this is where the nonsense is.
From where you stand, what is the truth?
The truth is this, okay? The truth is we have to have an election in 60 days. That's what the judges ruled. NASA should be pointing towards how do we have an election and how will they accept those results. Because in my opinion, when they demand that we change Saffron Mofo in 60 days, that is an unachievable requirement. It is unfair. On the other side, Jubilee as well should not just stick to its gun and seem like it is part of the IEBC. We need to come and understand that the IEBC is independent, keep the politicians out of it. What politicians should be doing should be campaigning. That is what they should be doing. NASA should respect the ruling of the Supreme Court and let us have an election. We are being terrorized as a nation. Will we have an election or not? We need to get to the point where these politicians need to shut up, go campaign, and let us have an election so that our lives can move on.
Even if there are doubts about the composition of the referee in this upcoming election.
Let me tell you.
And hang on, Joy, I'm coming to you briefly.
For a long time,
yes.
We've changed commissioners 3 times in this country. Same result. Are we insane? It is not about the commissioners. It is about a process. You see, if the returning officers had signed their forms, we would not be in this problem. And that's why I'm talking about its bad manners. What kind of returning officer doesn't want to sign the form? That's nonsense. As a country, we need to grow up. And grow up quickly we must.
Grow up and grow up quickly. Joy, come in.
I like where Mark is going, because that's what, as a nation, that's what we need to do right now. A common sense approach to issues. Like, for example, one of the analogies we keep using is that the IEBC is an arbiter in this process, is a referee. That's not correct. The IEBC is the pipe that delivers the water to our homestead, the integral part of this system. So when we have consummate professionals who we give a job and then they make a mess of it, let's even look at the people who are calling for these changes. The political parties themselves had primaries that were less than stellar. None of them did primaries that had the KEBS mark of quality on them. However, they are the ones who allowed the saying, the IBC have fallen on this first hurdle and they need to go home. As a country, we need to get to a place where if something is broken, if it is what we have to use, let us make it fit for use. Because what happens now is that some jobs in this country have become undesirable to patriots and professionals because they have become a graveyard of careers. Look at the EACC chair. Look at the IEBC commission. Look, in fact, there's some of these positions where you go in as a professional, well-respected, everybody. The Supreme Court, when we're looking for judges for the Supreme Court, Judge Ringera is one of the best judicial officers this country has ever produced. His jurisprudence is being quoted in courts all over the country. But when it came to him asking for the job of the Chief Justice, for which he should have been more supremely qualified, the fact that he passed through the EACC before he applied for this one meant that we could not have him as a Chief Justice. That tells me there are some of these positions that we are making into poison chalices. And we'll get to a place where Kenyans who are actually patriots and qualified will not want to serve in them because there are these offices that...
Are we there now?
We are getting, for example, now like the EACC chair, if we manage to bundle this lot out, who do you think is going to apply for those positions now? You'll be advertising and be advertising, and
one of you patriots here might consider it.
You know, and that's the point. We need to come to a common sense position. No, you say, look, this is the position, let's stick with it. This is what the law says, let's stick with it. Even these amendments. Honorable Mandu is talking about how they went to Windsor to negotiate for the last. Kriegler told us, when you have an election near, don't start the election laws. What have our politicians done routinely? They keep changing the laws up to the last minute. So now how can he come and tell us now that they cannot change them again? And after all, we expect them changing in Parliament, not in Windsor. Let us get to a place as Kenyans. Let us refuse politicians to just mess up with our lives and tell them, look, we are hiring you to do a job. Go ahead and do it.
Okay. Michael, you've been deep in thought. I don't know whether you want to share those thoughts with us now.
You know, what annoys me is how we say that IBC is quite independent. It is not independent as it is today. We can see how Jubilee mobs IEBC, and we can see how NASA mobs IEBC. We can see how NASA says, I want this and this individual to be out of this place, and then Jubilee decides, this individual must stay.
Even when they're replacing them.
Even when they're replacing them, they must stay. You see that kind of a thing? That tells you that already it's a house that is divided. The only way, therefore, to bring this house together is the principals to come together and sit with the IEBC. You know, when Mheshimiwa is saying that, you know, they are not hardline stand, I wonder where it comes from. Because in reality, check as individuals in this country, and as a young man, we know there's a problem. There's a problem with these people called Jubilee, and there's a problem with these people called NASA, because they cannot sit down together. Yet this country is all ours. We cannot say that Jubilee have the supremacy because they run the government, because the president comes from Jubilee, and forget about the opposition that is almost running, got almost got about a half of the votes in this country. You cannot undermine such individual. And the problem we've had, and I was giving an example that has happened to United States of America, where Trump campaigned on the basis of making sure that the walls between Mexico and America is built, so that there are no all this crisscrossing every now and again. And secondly, he interfered with the immigration issues, and they said, look, I am going to make sure that we review the immigration law. Just about 2 weeks ago, Nancy Pelosi and the Democrats goes and sit with the Trump. What happened? They walked out there and they said, no wall will be built. The dreamers thing. We will look into this and we will not be deporting them into their homes. What is the problem with us waiting until somebody calls from outside? Why can't Uhuru Kenyatta and Raila sit down together? Let me tell you, if you want to know where we are having a problem, it's these people called legislators. Because the laws they pass in Parliament are executive driven. I know they're supposed, especially the majority, they're supposed to
be independent.
Not necessarily.
Okay.
They are supposed to be independent, and they're supposed to run their own bills.
Yes.
But you remember, this law that is being passed started from where? It started from the rallies. Where people say,
even though he says that it's their own initiative.
It is not their own initiative, because the deputy president and the president talked about it, and then it became a law. And it baffles you how fast it was driven into Parliament, reduced from 14 days to just, it's a question of these people we elected. Are they for the interests of the executive or the interest of the people that elected them?
Let me interrupt you, because I want him to answer that. Okay, he posed a tough question to you. Are the people that we elected for working for the executive or for the people?
Let me say from the start that, as I had insisted, that us being majority is not a product of dictatorship. Elections were done on 8/8. Kenyans voted for us, and they have a reason as to why they voted for Jubilee. On the question was as to whether these bills that is being...
Sorry, let me interrupt you now to take you to just refer to what we're seeing on our screen. Members of the press there, I can see Laura, I believe. They are hiding behind some sort of structure there. I think those were bricks or something. Our cameraman also trying to get the best pictures while at the same time staying safe. A bit of a volatile situation there in Kondele. And so on one hand, I think they're attempting to move to safer ground while bringing us those pictures. Okay, he seems to have gotten a bit of a safe space now. So they're still in the same location they have been in for the last hour or so. And the clash between police and youth. They are seemingly still going on from what we can see on our screens, and just those red, I think they are bricks or structures there. That's where members of the press were hiding a minute or so ago before they moved back now to where those sheds or little shops are. And we'll take you back there as soon as we're able to give you more updates. Senator, go ahead. Sorry for interrupting you.
In fact, when he says that some of these bills we are pushing or we believe executive is controlling is not true. Because the one time to introduce to the Senate was sponsored by Senator Fatuma Dulo, which means there is no way an executive. And these are issues I want to insist that the legislation, the amendments of the law, the parliament, for heaven's sake, started operating the other day. We were just being sworn. It doesn't mean the business of the parliament simply stops because some individuals are hell-bent into getting to State House. And I like what my brother Mark has said. We have changed IEBC 207. The same candidate had a problem with Kivuitu. 2013 is Asak, he had a problem with 2017. He has a problem with Chenoba. Is the referee a problem, or is the candidate that is Raila Odinga having? And the only doctrine that he has, Odingaism doctrine, is where he wins. That is when the elections are free, fair, and credible. And if you see, there has been a goodwill.
The deputy president was on the Raila Odinga side, and there are press conferences where he was complaining about Kivuitu then, but now because
he was nowhere pushing Kivuitu to go away. It was Raila Odinga who did that. So I'm certain, I'm 100%. So the issue is not in fact about IEBC, and therefore as Jubilee we respect the independence of these institutions. When Supreme Court nullified or invalidated the presidential vote, we told the Supreme Court we respect what you took as a decision, but we have a right to criticize.
Okay.
But we have given an opportunity.
You can come in, Honorable Manzo.
I need to respond because, first of all, I raised that matter when it came to the floor of Parliament. That I noticed that the sponsor of the bill was the Honorable Cheptum, and the right person to do so should have been the leader of majority. Because it's a government-sponsored bill. It is, if you look at the citation, it is government